Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Melby Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Samson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Dale West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, NA Literalist, Maria Nealands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick, Abraham Mohammed, Nai Bai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Also below this video is a link to get £50 for swapping your UK energy supplier to Octopus Energy. With that, I'm going to hand over to whoever is in G Plus and Discord so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
They'll look for ways to make it work, and it still doesn't.
Yeah, because it's not reality.
What am I at a photo shoot here?
I just got it, Red Man. I'll go look at it.
Yeah. Other two
All right,
pictures
hold
that
on.
I'm putting
I'm
in.
just doing
giving
something
to you.
else, but I'll go look at it right now.
Yes. The other two sun pictures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see
where
it.
the fifth-
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures, right?
yeah, so
How do I?
You need to present to me, Redman.
it's kind of the same old stuff that I normally pick up.
Yeah, I'll just send them to you.
Okay.
Let me get them all copied first. Let me see. Why isn't this one copied? That one's copied. All right, I'll send you 3 at least.
They're coming through on Master B.
What's that?
Where are they going?
Oh, they're going to go to Master B in 1 second.
Okay.
I only got 3 of them. Yeah, he's got 5, but I was only able to copy 3. So here, or save 3 for some reason. Here they come.
While they're sending, while they're in the middle of the wires, can you, are they here now? Can you tell us what's what then, Redman? I've got them up on screen now.
These are pictures taken from the 49th floor. What was it? What time was it? It was like 7:20 in the morning, and catching the sunrise. You know, the sun coming into view. I like the sky is giving off, for blues, reds, and violet. You know, it's just awesome color. 2 of them from the ground. And when I got up in the building, I was able to take the pictures. Kind of turn my IOs down on a couple of the sun pictures. And pretty good.
Okay. I'm still flicking through them.
it.
I'm on the second picture of the sun.
Dark.
Mm-hmm.
I was down river low, so it wouldn't be so bright. The engineer, and I'm gonna see get leave my time lapse camera out there and see if I can get a sunrise from the 49th floor.
Epic. Very good. Thank you for sharing them, and thank you for passing them on, 10th man.
You're welcome.
No problem. I do.
Did someone just say how do?
No, I said what I do. I see something, I pass it.
My Discord keeps
Well, if you see-
disconnecting. Just 1 second. I'm going to refresh my Discord because it keeps connecting and reconnecting for some reason. Check. Hopefully it'll be a bit
You
better.
want to?
Yeah, you're fine. It's mine that's the problem.
Oh.
Anyway, we'll manage.
Hey, Nathan, I'm going to send you some of yesterday's slides that QE put up, and then I'm going to compare it to some slides I took off one of Neil deGrasse Tyson's Star Talks. And let's see what we can make of these. Bring some sense to it. So let me see in what order I got to do this here. Okay, so let's do this one. Okay, so I got to one. All right, so let me go select 1, 2. All right, coming your way, Master B. 4 photos. Tell me when you got them.
Okay. Got him.
There we go.
Want me to start with?
All right.
Okay, I think I know where to start. You've put them in order, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one he shows is their model. There's the sun, and there's the earth, and the moon is just about to get in the way of the earth, or past the earth, and the earth is gonna block the sunlight from the moon. You go to the next one, you could see how the shadow of the earth is not narrow but wide, and then the moon is there in their model, and and there's the earth's shadow. See how that shows?
And if I'm on the right slide, then maybe I should be on the first slide.
Second slide where it shows the moon in the shadow of the earth.
That's come through as my first, but yeah, carry on.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right, so once the moon gets behind the earth, the shadow of the earth is supposedly the shadow they see on the eclipse, at least from yesterday's callers as well, right? So then if you go to what QE put up, and I've put this up before, and that would be the umbra penumbra. What does the shadow look like there in the sunlight? Excuse me. The sun is coming in narrow bands rather than parallel in a divergent way, and then they break the shadow up into an umbra and penumbra. And if you go to the last slide, can someone explain to me why this is considered to be true? So even in their model, when they're trying to show the shadow, it doesn't even work with their umbra penumbra. In contrast to what everyone sees, light comes in divergent, not parallel rays anyway. So that kills it right there. But if they want to play this little Mickey Mouse cartoon game with us, they're playing both sides as always, arguing both sides of the argument whenever it's necessary.
Epic. Thanks.
It's amazing.
Very good.
Well, I've got another one that's from the same slide that's comical. I'm going to send you two of these.
Okay.
It's amazing he even thinks this way. But ballers will be ballers. And all right. So they got this. Tell me when you got it.
Okay. It's on screen.
So they've kept their heliocentric model. They've put an image of a flat Earth and the moon next to the flat Earth, as if that's what we're stating at all, which it isn't at all. And then he does the next slide with the eclipse with a flat. It's so funny.
That's great.
I don't need to say more, do I?
It's a very Flat Earth Society-esque depiction of pancake Earth in the sky vacuum, right? It's like, lest we forget that we don't have orbital mechanics, and that's what this arrangement gives you. And we don't have a sky vacuum, and the assumption of R, and I love it.
Good way to start a Thursday.
And shouldn't they also have Venus as a pancake, assumed to be the same pancake as Earth?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, whoever orders one pancake anyway?
Exactly. You'd have a whole stack of them.
Nice one.
Very good.
All right. We had our laugh. There's more. I keep finding them.
Very good. Very good.
Anybody in Discord? Anybody in Discord that's a baller who wants to talk to me about why the sextant cannot work on a globe model?
So enthusiastic, eh?
Yeah, very enthusiastic, aren't they? Maybe they don't want to navigate in these waters.
Apparently they like to navigate in them 24 hours of the day. So I'm told.
Yeah, that's because your show's over after 1 hour.
Yeah, it gets warmer waters when no one's listening.
That's right. All right, everybody quiet for this 1 hour slot on the live show. After that, we go back to our dream life. I mean, isn't it apparent, to everyone when they see divergent rays of the sun? I mean, no one's going to say they're parallel because you're seeing them spread out in funny angles. And then you go to school an hour later, as you see that on your drive to school, and the topic of the class today is sun rays come in parallel. And you say, yeah, but teacher, I saw it coming. Nope, be quiet.
Hello.
Hey, Arwin.
Hey, Arwin.
Afternoon.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video is a link to get £50 by swapping your UK energy supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Flatzoid. Let's try that again. Flatzoid, Arwin, Neil and 10th Man, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning, Al.
Hello.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, enthusiastic Discord lot that didn't say a word during the pre-show. Hello, good to have you. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature.
No real evidence, just in their model.
I still get arguments.
No signs of it.
And claims, though.
A lot of no's
People
for
still claim it.
a lot of no's for a fundamental premise of the globe faith that we've got Earth curve, but no evidence of this Earth curve. Amazing, really.
Well, Arwin says they claim it, but Arwin, have they demonstrated it?
Yeah, they point to the horizon.
To the horizon and not actual location, the apparent position where the sky meets the ground. Well, that's not physical geometric sphere edge. We've debunked that with the black swan. Any evidence of the R value? Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning, guys.
Morning. RP none, as Flatzoid says.
That's a definite no.
The R value is still in terrestrial refraction, though. That makes everything all right, right?
But you first need physicality to have that R base, would you not?
I just love how Arwin is the one to be naming and pointing out that this is a paradox. So now he absolutely loves using it. Like, this is going to be my globe defense. This paradoxical state, I'm going to throw that out every time anybody debunks the R value. Yeah, but we've still got it in terrestrial refraction, so it's all good. Right, Arwin?
Yeah, well, I literally have people saying that to me still. So, you know, in chats and all that, they still do that.
Well,
They still
they
say terrestrial refraction.
when they
still-
when they direct your attention to the horizon, is there any way they could point that horizon is curving right to left, or are they still saying there's some kind of refraction that's making it horizontal and level?
Come on, 10th Man. You know it doesn't bend from side to side. It only bends away from you in a circle-like fashion.
And even if it
Around
could,
Well,
who cares? Doesn't make it a physical geometric sphere edge, bent or otherwise. That's what they want. They
No, but
want
it
flat
makes it
earthers
easy-
to argue the toss about how bent or not bent it is. Well, what are we talking about? A not actual location. They think it's a physical sphere edge, but they want us to argue about how bent or not bent a not actual location is, while they claim it's a physical location.
But it's not really about whether it is actually curved. It's just how is it the easiest? What's the easiest way to imagine it to be a curve? How do you
Yes.
think about it to be a curve? That's the real thing. And it's not that hard. It's really not that hard to think about it like that.
I don't know about you guys, but I measure the apparent locations all the time. Shit. I don't really do, but I can think of it like I do.
Yeah, you can pretend you do.
Tough time,
to,
the globers.
to have a radius, you have to live on the sphere, right?
Exactly. If you don't have one, you're not on a sphere.
So how do we know we are on a sphere then?
We don't, because we don't have a physical sphere edge to derive an R value from, and every single assertion that we're on a sphere starts with the assertion that we're on a sphere by way of an R value that we've debunked with the black swan.
Hold on. There might be a better reason to it. You know, if there are so many sphere zealots that say the Earth is a sphere, then if it wasn't a sphere, then how could have these sphere zealots basically become so obsessed with spheres if nothing really is a sphere, even though they claim it is? How is
Not
that
my
possible?
problem. How's that our problem? You asking
I'm
for a
not
thing
saying
that
whose problem it
point
is.
at
I'm just
someone?
saying, how is that even possible? How
Well,
can
they're
everybody think that everything is a sphere when everything is obviously not?
How can everyone be so
Right.
deluded into sphere belief? I don't know. Because they're told that it's a sphere?
Maybe they're under the sphere of influence of someone.
Yeah, the language
Boom, boom.
programs you with it. Atmosphere. Part of
Right,
the
so
language.
just hearing the word sphere everywhere and seeing a lot of spheres on TV, does that make you believe everything is a sphere?
Certainly seems to be the case, Arwin, as the majority of the Western world are under the misapprehension that they're on a model called the heliocentric model.
When you watch Star
It's a
Wars,
global
they
problem.
show spheres.
Well, Owen, if you didn't learn Dutch, would you know how to speak Dutch?
Sorry, say again?
If you didn't learn Dutch, would you know how to speak Dutch?
No.
Good point.
Dutch is terrible language. to
Let
learn.
make his point. Hold on. Flatsoid's point is, if you didn't learn globe, you wouldn't speak globe.
Well, yeah, in a roundabout way, you got to it.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
This so-called 15 degrees movement that we don't observe of the Earth.
Yeah,
Vertical deviation.
there is no
Vertical
deviation.
Coriolis deviation.
There isn't any.
Yes, there is.
Great hand wave. Do you want to show me where this deviation occurs in nature, Arwin?
Yeah, you drop something and then suddenly it deviates. Because people say
I
it
know.
does. Who's
I know,
actually testing this? I don't think
geometry.
anybody is. They're just saying that it does that.
Okay, and if they just say that Earth turns underneath something that's dropped, as was exampled by the dude here a few times in the last week or so, well then you've got Earth turning underneath things that aren't attached to it at a different rate. Well, that would shorten flight times, because planes aren't attached to Earth. They take off, they leave Earth, and if it's claimed to spin underneath to cause deflection, that's Earth spinning underneath aeroplanes, shortening their flight times, which doesn't happen. Simultaneously, you'd have drones appearing to whiz away from you at 1,000 miles an hour as you turned underneath them on a spinning Earth. that doesn't happen.
But you're overlooking the premise that I forwarded earlier, and that is there's only really displacement vertically, and planes overall don't move as much vertically as they do horizontally. So there's very little Coriolis displacement.
How about a
they-
drone hovering? How about a
They,
drone
they don't
hovering?
they don't ascend being the most appropriate word here. They don't ascend to 30,000 odd feet then. They just magically get there. And when they get there,
Well,
they
they don't
retain the
constantly
increased.
go up and down, only usually once up and then once down. You know, maybe alter height a little, but the overall movement is mostly horizontal.
How about a
There's
helicopter
very little
hovering?
Coriolis deviation, and a drone hovering is not changing its height, so there should be no deviation then by that model.
So no 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns underneath to give us a proof that we're turning then. So no drift in that example.
Only when it comes down again.
Only when it comes down. So you're saying it goes up and violates the first law of thermodynamics because it then suddenly retains an increased velocity because it's got an increased radius to traverse. So it's got to increase the energy in relation to the ground it's no longer attached to. Well, straight away, that's a violation of the first law. Nice that we can summarise it so
No.
quickly without a fundy.
No,
That's how it
no,
now
it
argues.
does deviate when it goes up.
Oh, it does deviate.
Yeah, it just doesn't deviate when it hangs still.
So sometimes Earth turns underneath and sometimes it doesn't. No, it's either turning underneath or it isn't. It isn't an either or circumstance. For us to have Coriolis deviation, the effect is us turning underneath stuff that's not attached. If we're not, then we don't have the Coriolis effect claim to prove we're spinning. If we do, then it would shorten flight times, which doesn't happen. Either way, they're buggered.
Well, that's not the Coriolis that they believe in. They think that things only deviate when they move vertically. And who knows? I find that an interesting concept. So I'm going to stick with that as Baldwin. Say,
well, that's
no, it only deviates when moving vertically. So it's very
only
tough to effectively move in a vertical line in some kind of flight
Yeah,
situation.
but if
You
that
have to
was
have
true, we've just covered
special
this. Just covered this.
pendulous vane-like alterations or whatever to make it appear to go in a perfectly straight line, because it's actually deviating because of Coriolis when it moves vertically.
Thank you. Thank you for repeating it. So now I've got to repeat what I've rebutted it with, and we'll just go around in circles 5 more times, maybe, Arwin. So, no, because you'd have to violate the first law of thermodynamics. As it increases altitude in an aeroplane, then it would, to track with Earth, have an increased radius value. Therefore, it would have to increase the amount of energy it's got to track with the ground at whatever rate you're claiming it's going to be tracking it at. Well, that can't happen. That's the first law of thermodynamics violation. Also, you'd have planes moving backwards, and you wouldn't have any Coriolis drift. You're supposed to have Coriolis drift, that's us observing drift, as we turn underneath. So this justification for no drift, or retention of angular velocity, or drift when you're only descending or ascending, stands in violation of the first law, doesn't give you the Coriolis effect they claim on a globe. So they're still screwed either way, Arwin, as much as you want to hang on to this crappy
I'm
argument.
not sure about that, though. I
Are you
don't-
saying, hang on, are you saying an airplane doesn't have a reverse gear?
It doesn't need to,
Oh, come on, Arwin.
because it only deviates when it goes vertical.
First law of thermodynamics violation. When it gets to its given altitude, if it's retaining the velocity of Earth turning underneath, it's got to violate the first law. We are just
Yeah, but
gonna
it
close 5
doesn't
more
do
times.
that. That's specifically why I say it alters when it goes vertical, because then it doesn't violate.
I know,
the
but
first
you
law.
said when it comes down, then Earth should have moved 15 degrees underneath it. So how come on the way down, China doesn't come under it?
Just nonsense.
So it doesn't
I
move
don't
that
wanna-
fast.
we
It's
not
not
do this
moving
16
constantly
times,
vertically.
Arwin?
It's only moving vertically at a very specific point of landing. And
Are we still in
that's it.
Arwin land?
Yeah, we are. We
Yeah.
are. Yeah, we're not going to get away
Okay,
from
okay.
Arwin Land. He wants to go around this same circle 6 times.
If you prefer the other guy another 1.5 hours about this, I'll tag team with
No,
him.
I admire that you can keep it concise. I don't admire that you can also copy them going round in circles like a fundy zealot over and over again.
But how else are you going to get anywhere?
That's not going anywhere. It's going round in circles.
Yes. It's like around the
Well.
ball Earth.
Do you like experiencing temporarily their cognitive dissonance? Is that how your empathy works? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go through the motions of cognitive dissonance round and round in circles. Is that how you empathise, Arwin?
Well, I've always wanted to take the blue pill, but I can't really because I already took the red pill. But I can powder it up and then just take very little bits at a time.
Ah,
Check it out as Arwin snorts globe belief temporarily to get high.
Yes, I like that. Yeah.
do you also have a view of a sky valve to let a few things out, but not everything?
Yeah, I'm still working with that on that with NASA. They're not
Okay,
ready for
gotcha.
that yet.
Any
First,
evidence-
it has to break because the gas pressure without a container issue cannot be resolved in any fashion. There is no physics, no theoretical physics that can actually fix that. The only way to assume that that is possible is by misinterpreting mechanics. It's the only way. Well, a lot of other things, including circular geometry and things like Coriolis effect, they can be screwed around with a little. The vacuum is a problem, however, so that's why at some point they are going to have to suggest there's going to be some kind of an alien barrier that has allowed us to breathe, basically, on the ball Earth.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
No, thank you, conspiracy cats and Big Blue Wolf.
It could only happen in the outer space universe if the outer space universe is not a vacuum, but actually infinite amounts of space with infinite amounts of gas at a stable fashion. I don't know how that would work.
Well, the last week you were saying it takes 3 containers. Now look what you're saying.
Oh, now but that's how to demonstrate it on Earth. That's something different.
We can only see it on the open closed system.
That's an oxymoron. Married bachelor. Open closed.
That's what they tell us.
But
Well,
if it's
hang
an
on.
open closed system, that means that it can be open and closed. You can change whether it is closed or open, right?
Hey, I could tell you right now, Nathan hit it on the spot with the married bachelor, because everyone before they got married was a bachelor wishing they were married. So in their imagination, they were married, but they weren't really married. So the whole globe is an imagination.
Any evidence of
What?
the distance to the sun?
Ah, what is the sun?
I don't know.
Is it
What is the
physical?
world?
Is the sun physical, or is just that light hitting your skin? Is that a physical interaction?
You tell
of
me. Have
some
you ever
kind?
touched it? Have you ever touched it? Is it tangible? How can you touch it?
The question
Well,
is,
let's
what's
try to approach it first. Let's see if it actually abides by the laws of perspective, as all physical objects do.
the question is distance.
It doesn't.
Yeah. I
If you
talk like
move,
on
it
my
seems to
show
move
like
as well,
half an
Arwen.
hour about this nonstop.
You don't
So
seem to be able
I'm
to
a
get.
bit flustered.
You don't seem to be able to reduce its angular size by approaching it.
Right. Well, then you got a problem. Then the physical nature becomes very unlikely. It's much more likely to fall under the category of holographic in that sense. Then.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Owen, that's not very consistent. I thought you would have been able to categorize that as clearly, if it doesn't change in size, it must be infinitely massive and so far away that the laws of perspective are just negated.
What? Oh
That
yeah, if it
interest.
was really, really big and really, really far away.
That was the
Right.
case, Adam. And you had stuff that was really big and really far away at varying distances. You'd have some parallax throughout the night, would you not?
Well, obviously, there's contradictions that become apparent within that, but I'm just saying, just in of itself, you can hand wave it away by saying, yeah, but it's so big and so far away you don't see it. But yes, parallax.
Adam,
But-
if it was
but-
so
but-
big and so far away,
you
would
do
light come in
see-
divergent or parallel?
Well, if it's coming off a ball, it's got to be diverging anyway. I mean,
On Elijah?
Well,
But-
it depends
but
on
what
how
you
pressure
can
or
notice-
fraction influences it, though.
One sec.
What you can notice is that there's a change in intensity of the sun's light throughout the day, from that general apparent direction. So, I mean,
That's very useful.
it does what lights do,
That's nice.
but as far after that, I don't know.
Is a light. That's profound. Thank you, Elijah.
What lights do they? Because a light here on Earth, where we know it's a light because we made it, you know, it has all
I
these
mean, light
things.
attenuation is light
There's the
attenuation
inverse
probably
square
wherever you
law.
are. Yeah.
You can approach it, it seems to become bigger, angular wise, all these things that we can confirm with lights here on Earth. I don't think any of that applies in any way. to
Okay, a
the sun.
holographic light, whatever.
Okay, whatever. We don't know then. Distance to the sun unknown. I'm going to assume R and assume Venus is the same size as Earth.
I
and
want to go
assume
back
with
to
an R.
Adam. Adam, how come we have pictures from weather balloons of a sun's hotspot in one particular area and ambient light everything else?
well, that's just a mirror reflection of it because it's so far away.
Well, wouldn't it be bigger than the pinpoint hotspot then?
No, just the way the atmosphere refracts it.
Oh, atmosphere?
What the hell
What
are you
sphere?
babbling about?
Refraction?
What are you
What
babbling
am I
about?
doing here? Why have I started this?
I don't know why you're doing that, Adam.
Got you now.
I don't know. You're not Arwen. What are you doing?
I don't know. It is a little fun, but it is.
It's the Adam Balkan.
I'm balking. Yeah, I'm stopping.
I thought he was from Nottingham.
Yeah, something was getting ground up and snort and thought, I'm going to have a go at that.
I'll
Why
have a dab on that. I don't like it though.
It does make you feel
Say
dirty
no.
afterward, doesn't it? I agree.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
What is it?
I don't know. Bending force space.
There's no scientific evidence of what they are saying gravity is, because they say it's a force, and then they also say it's not a force, and they don't even know what it is.
So how do
Space-time.
you manipulate something that isn't force, but you can think of it as a force?
Think about manipulating it.
Oh, yes! That's the solution!
Pay no mind to him.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Email, iTunes,
That's about as far as we got, is email and iTunes.
maybe mobile phones. Oh yeah, laptops. Don't forget laptops. What else?
Laptops, eh? Technology proves what now?
Science.
Well, they
doesn't have to be a ball. No
sit
ball Earth, no laptop. You get it?
No.
They sit down on their computer and they look at data from a mathematical interpretation, and then they make a picture of it and say black hole or quasars, and then they start dreaming.
Say truth be told, go ahead.
Nah, all I said was that's technology, man. That's not science at all. You asked for scientific evidence, isn't it?
Not scientific evidence, no. We just want valid hypotheses. Any valid hypotheses.
Okay, but it's still technology, though. Well, what does technology have to do with the nature of our reality?
It doesn't. It's not a natural phenomena. It's not an independent variable you think caused it. It's not a hypothesis for sure. I know what Arwen's on about. He does this though.
What?
We humour him.
Astrophysics proves technology.
Astrophysics
Wait,
proves
no, technology proves astrophysics. Sorry, I got it.
Technology proves astrophysics.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what he's on about. Maybe you can
If
ask
you
him.
did not have a mobile and email and iTunes, then you wouldn't be able to prove the Earth is a ball.
Okay, I see.
Category error there, Owen.
It
Thank
was?
you, Sabine, Hassan.
No, let's not pay Arwen's incoherent nonsense too much mind. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Hotspots.
Nope.
Hotspots,
molten iron core at the centre of a no, 10th, no. You're way off track.
Well, I figured, hang on, I figured since Arwen could play baller and Adam ran away from that question, I could say that that hotspot that's on the surface of that presupposed sphere is the glow from the center of the Earth and not from the sun, because the sun would not have a small hotspot like that. Because they say it comes in parallel rays, so.
What? How's that? Like, how? What?
Yeah, the heat rising through the Earth, creating a low hotspot.
Yeah, but it's actually colder down. So does the heat just float up like an air bubble in water and then stick to the surface or something? What?
It comes in magnetic waves of some kind. I can't explain. I just know that's what it is because that fits my globe religion.
Magnetic heat.
There you go.
Okay, so the proof for a molten iron core is magnetic heat. That's interesting.
Works for me.
I guess that if you have molten iron which can have magnetism, well, maybe it can have magnetic heat then. That makes sense.
It's the core of my argument, and I'm sticking to it.
We're making a lot of ground here, people.
I think Anthony Riley wants to join to talk about something. I don't know what. I do. I know exactly what, because he phoned me up and told me about it. Made me pay attention to something I wouldn't normally.
I think it's about conspiracy cats. He's in the chat right now.
Yeah, he lends great significance to it, even though we've already got cats on record. Without the container, there can be no pressure. Without the balloon, there is no pressure. Him showing containment and gas pressure and explaining it. So, I don't know, this to me is old news, but Actually, but I thought it was really important, so I made a video about it. It took me about half an hour. Check it out if you want to.
Cats do have 9 lives, so maybe he's back for another one.
I don't know. It's one of them. Anthony's convinced that he's lying to himself, and I'm like, no, you're describing cognitive dissonance. He's holding two positions simultaneously. That's cog diss, and that's not lies. But we'll see. Hopefully, Sleeping Warrior will join and put his point of view and how critical this is for us all to pay a great deal of attention to. Anybody got any comments on it?
Yeah, I was just wondering because at some point Katz was sharing it with others that he was getting really nervous about like the potential that everybody's being lied to, right? And then afraid that they might come after him for revealing. Like, how does he think about that these days, or has he kind of forgotten about it?
I don't know. You can ask him if you like.
Somebody should ask him.
I don't care. I know that we can't have gas pressure without a container, and it's asserted that there's a sky vacuum, a vast amount of space. And you know what they call that vast amount of space that the gas would fill if it was real? They call it space. Yeah, without the container, there can be no pressure. And we are breathing it. Outer space is fake.
It's not empty. Can't be. If it is even there.
This is a well-established... What is this, 2016 argument? Maybe it's 2017 when it was well and truly established. But we all know this, right? You know, you've got people like Tommy Hench having conspiracy cats over a barrel with it. So, you know, he's only having that put to him because everybody knows already that you can't have gas pressure without a container and that space is fake. It's a violation of natural law. Now, everyone knows this. So having it repeatedly put to somebody that's so quote-worthy anyway is just...
No. You're mistaken. The correct question is, how can you have pressurized gas without a container? Yeah, that's it.
You can't have... Well, let's answer it. You can't have pressurized gas without a container. The gas would fill the space.
What's causing the gas to pressurize?
It would require the antecedent of containment, something to press upon, Arwin.
Hmm.
And what do you know? We're breathing high-pressure gas. And it's claimed that there's a vast space for it to fill, potentially. It's just not filling it in line with entropy. No, that's not real. That's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. The sky is definitely not a vacuum. Because if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space.
Has anybody gone to the hardware store and seen or bought an air compressor without a container?
Air compressor is the container.
Well, that's my question. So how can you, to get pressurized gas, air, you need a container. You can't buy an air compressor without a container. Duh.
Well, maybe if you just calculate it different and express the pressure in weight, maybe then you could get some kind of directional thing going.
How do you calculate a container into existence?
You just arbitrarily assign a V. Maybe have a whole law about air being sphere-shaped and how pressure was developed in sphere-shaped air. And then incorporate that into the language so that everyone automatically assumes that when someone mentions the word that sphere-shaped air, I mean atmosphere, that would be atmo, air, sphere, fundamentalist religious belief that's been programmed into our language. They'll just accept it as being a thing, even though in reality, gas takes the shape of its container. You don't have sphere-shaped air. That's a nonsense. But you'd need sphere-shaped air in violation of natural law as a mild explanation for something that violates natural law when someone asks how we have gas pressure on Earth if the sky is a vacuum. Oh, well, we have sphere-shaped air law. And that says that we can have it. It's just as simple as that, really. We use a not actual force called gravity that we think of as a force to hold gas pressure in these various different layers of air, even though gas is inhomogeneous. It's not forming in layers. But we'll name all the layers spheres as well, and people will arbitrarily accept that they form the shape of spheres. Get gas that expands to fill the volume, that isn't sphere-shaped.
If they're so into that we live on a sphere, and they actually believe this, then airplanes should be renamed air spheres.
Yeah, but then many of them would crash because they are actually flying above a plane, and they need to consider it as such to not crash.
That it for the housekeeping?
That's it. I mean, the audience just needs to be aware of this word atmosphere. Atmo, air, sphere, fundamentalist religious belief. Because that's how they'll justify a violation of natural law. By way of a made-up air sphere law that uses not actual forces to keep gas here, when it would actually, and demonstratably, fill the availability of volume it has to fill. Because that's what gas does. It's a natural law. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. It's entropy.
What did they call it before the globe religion became so popular with the textbooks and the movies? So back in the day when people, and we have definite evidence, believed that the Earth was a plane, what did they call the air then? Airplane? Air, but they didn't say atmosphere because they didn't believe they lived on a sphere. So this is recently a new word.
I think they called it air.
Yeah, air. They didn't give a shape to it.
No, that was arbitrarily assigned to overcome a problem in a sphere model that we don't stand upon. When asked how we have gas pressure without a container, well, you can direct the person to atmosphere. An oxymoron.
So when you say the air takes the shape of its container, that would be true.
Yeah, that's demonstrably true. Air taking the shape of a sphere without containment, however, you're never going to show that. Because it doesn't happen. It's a violation of natural law.
Not just air, but pressurized air.
Well, you can't have the air pressure without a container to begin with. It's a necessary antecedent relationship.
So it's over right there.
Yeah, we have gas pressure, therefore we definitely don't have a sky vacuum because we wouldn't have any gas pressure. The gas would fill the space.
So then we don't have a physical geometric horizon that destroys the R.
No, the assumption of the distances to the lights in the sky is based on that physical geometric sphere edge horizon deriving an R value to superimpose on Venus and then give you an application of Kepler's second law of interplanetary motion. So you can derive all the values for distances. But they're all still placed in a sky vacuum that violates natural law regardless of their proposition that we have an R value and that Venus has the same R value. All of that assumption is just nonsense.
No,
Debunked.
I know. I was moving on to the black swan and saying they can't demonstrate the R value.
Well, we've debunked their method of acquiring it. They use the physical geometric sphere edge horizon to derive an R value, to then do the maths inside view without accounting for perspective, to assert that the horizon's blocking things as a physical geometric sphere edge. Now, as soon as we show the horizon beyond its physical geometric capabilities, it's no longer an actual location, and we're told that by our opponents. We wouldn't expect to see geometry. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. That's because the horizon isn't geometric. And they tell us exactly that. That's where we won. Them telling us that we don't have geometric horizon. We don't have Earth curve then. They're telling us it.
Well, if it only exists in the maths, then how can they say Alberuni measured it?
They can't.
But they do.
Well, no, they can't. That's where we've debunked it. Because if you're going to derive a physical geometric value from a physical geometric sphere edge, then you're going to need it to be physical and geometric. And the people on the globe side are telling us here, right now, that we can't see that. So they can't measure it. They can't derive it. It's game over.
So you can't see it, repeat it, observe it in our time, but he could at his time? Are you kidding me?
So I was distracted for a second.
No, I said we can't observe
Oakley, you there?
Or it could be that observation of Alberuni can't be done today, but they say he did it?
Can't. We'll go around in circles. Go on, Nathan. Go ahead.
Oakley, I'm a Patreon of you, bro. I love your channel. It's just when it's members only, I can't talk. So maybe if someone's a Patreon, you can mod them up so we could still talk. Because I think it's better to support direct than through grabbled YouTube, you know?
Talk amongst yourselves. I'm distracted just for 2 minutes.
No worries. Did you hear me? Do I need to repeat it?
No, just wait. He's distracted for 2 minutes. Maybe someone's delivering a package or something to his door.
No worries. That's 10th man, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a fan of you, bro. I love you, bro. Keep up the good work,
I love
dude.
you too.
Keep storing treasure in heaven, dude.
Praise the Lord.
Yo, what's up, Nate? How you feeling, brother?
Yo, while he's busy, I'll just tell everyone what we're doing. We got a 37-foot RV. We've already been through North Carolina and South Carolina. Today we're heading to the Georgia Guidestones, and then we'll be in Ocala, Florida. From there we go to Orlando, then we go to Miami, then we go to Tampa. So if anyone's in those areas, hit me up. Then we're heading west through New Orleans, Alabama, and Texas. We're going to be in Houston, Austin, and Dallas. Anyone in those areas, please email me, flatearthflyers@gmail.com. I need a phone number so I can call you and vet you, because anyone who watches this show knows how frothing and crazy the globe zealots are, dude. So I got to make sure you're legit. But we're having a great time. Check out our videos. They're really good. Got a new one coming out today. We got a voice impersonation guy who's doing Morgan Freeman and Barack Obama. Today he's going to hit me with a new clip. Says, I don't always research, or no, I don't have time for the Flat Earth Society. But when I research Flat Earth, I'm watching the Clown World Tour with Nathan and Austin, and I'm usually getting a massage from my wife, who has the strongest hands ever. You wouldn't even believe she's a woman. So we're going to get Obama saying that. How funny is that? Good times. Good times, bro. He's literally like a professional voice impersonator, and it's going to be perfect, bro. It's going to sound like Obama, dude. I'm telling you.
That's one way to massage the audience, Nathan.
Yeah, you know, I want to try and make videos that every Glover, even if they hate mine and Austin's guts and like hates God and thinks they came from a rock, they're going to be like, that was a cool video. You know what I mean?
Hey, be careful. You're talking bad about somebody's cousins.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Don't start throwing cousins now.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys, man. I love you guys, dude. Good morning. Good morning to all y'all, or good night if you're in the UK. But I love what you guys do, dude. We're all big fans here.
Awesome. I wonder if that's where they got the name Pebbles.
Oh yeah, Fruity Pebbles. You eat those in the morning. Pebbles was also a character on the Flintstones, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was an actor named Rock Hudson.
Oh, and then you've got The Rock, who's literally the most famous person in the world on Instagram. And Einstein means one stone rolling around in the head. So what's going on here with the Pebbles and The Rock? What is that?
I've
Where's the
had a
gravy
few in
there?
my kidney, but I've dispelled them since then.
Yo, Nathan, what up, brother?
My answer to what's up is the sky map, and above that is a creator who loves you.
Excellent, excellent. How's the trip?
Dude, I've never been more blessed or felt more called or been like more in the freaking vibe and the river that is streaming truth than I am in the freaking RV, bro. These guys were awesome. Chris drove from
Amazing.
California 3,000 miles, and he's like the best helper. Austin and I are working together. Like, of course, he's alpha, I'm alpha. We're both gonna butt heads a little bit, but like we work together really
Hold
well,
up.
bro.
So dude drove the RV from where? Cali? Over
From
to
Cali to Virginia, he had a niece who was having a
Jesus,
baby in
bro.
Kansas, and he's like, "Bro, I'm gonna go
That's
see this, and then I'm
ridiculous.
gonna come to
Okay,
you."
that made sense. So wait, you guys
That's
gotta
nuts.
find a way to make it to New York City, man. Come on.
Yeah. Elijah, bro, we're gonna go to the We really have our hearts set on going to the Niagara Falls, so we'll be in that area for sure. We're coming to you.
That area is like 18 miles away. I mean,
Excellent.
18
Well,
hours away. I'm sorry.
18 hours Niagara Falls from New York.
Let me see. I'm going to check right now.
Bro, you're on the giggle bush, dude. There's no way that Niagara Falls is 18 hours from New York.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe
You ain't
6.
close at all, buddy.
Dude, it takes
Yeah,
me
but
2 days to drive across the entire U.S.
I know it's the wildest thing.
The only thing
New
that
York
you
State
got
is further
similar
from
is
New
the
York
word New
City
York.
than Pennsylvania is. It's very weird. I still don't get it.
Hello, Betty. Not in chat here or in the panel.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes.
Oh,
All right, I just looked it up, guys. It's 8 hours. So take 18, divide it
You're
in
right.
half, and then subtract 2 hours.
You're right. You're right. You're right. My bad.
It's all good, bro. But the U.S.
That's
is
not
only
that.
3,000 miles.
You be forgetting traffic,
across,
my
bro.
friend. Add 4 hours to that 8. Trust me.
traffic.
Oh, I gotta adjust for Coriolis. Depends if you're traveling east or west, ladies and gentlemen.
Just to get out of New York is going to take 3.5 hours.
Yeah, imagine being that stupid. Like thinking that's what happens, right? Oh yeah, it's longer distance, but if I need to get somewhere, I could just jump up in the air over and over again. The earth will move under me.
Well, you're a moron
Bro,
if
that's
you
your
think
religion.
that.
Yeah, that's
Do you
the
think if you
Glober's
jump up and down a
religion,
train,
bro.
that the train will move underneath you so you don't come back down to where you
Well,
started from?
a train would not have a Coriolis effect because you're in a closed container, which is not moving separately from the floor. So
And
it's
the
not
same is true of the
analogous.
atmosphere. The
Well,
atmosphere is
there's
It's
moving
not
with the earth. It's no
analogous.
different. It's no
It's not
different.
analogous to the
It's
heliocentric
totally
No
analogous.
difference.
monkey
Hold on, guys,
Totally
hold on
analogous.
1 second. Sorry to interrupt.
Totally
So, what he's
100%
rebutted you with,
analogous.
Rumpus, if you can bear to listen, I'll summarise. He's saying,
Sorry?
is Earth like a closed train? Closed container, then? In your example, Earth's a closed train?
In effect, yes.
But Earth's closed. How did men get to the moon again?
For all practical purposes, it is a closed system.
So, for practical purposes of going to the moon, it's closed, they can't.
For practical purposes, if you want...
They can't go to the moon. For practical purposes, it's closed, so men can't go to the moon. According to Rumpus, it's closed. We're closed, right?
For practical purposes...
Closed. So we can't go to the moon. It's not practical because it's closed. According to Rumpus, it's closed. For all practical purposes, Earth is closed. According to Rumpus,
For practical purpose...
Earth is closed like a train, therefore men can't go to the moon.
Practical purpose is to model the behaviour of the...
Model? No, we live in reality. Get lost.
And...
so
well,
you can
just
think of
existing on
it
the Earth.
as.
So are you modelling
closed,
Earth like a
but
train? Shut up, Discord, or G+, whoever's interrupting.
Practical purposes, if you want to consider the whole Earth system, it is like a closed system.
So you can't go to the moon then, because it's for all practical purposes closed, and therefore matter can't leave.
Just a few molecules of matter doesn't make it...
A few molecules? It's a spaceship, a few molecules.
In comparison to the Earth...
Is a spaceship a few molecules, or is it an absolutely massive amount of matter that wouldn't be able to leave if it was closed? Yeah, we must be closed, or we wouldn't have gas pressure to breathe. If it was open, the gas would fill the sky vacuum. And if you're saying it's closed, then men aren't going to the moon for all practical purposes. You can't leave a closed system if you matter, and spaceships are matter. So Rumpus is saying for all practical purposes, men can't go to the moon because we're in a closed system. We agree. Welcome to the violation of natural law that is outer space. Space is fake. We must be in a closed system. And according to Rumpus, for all practical purposes, we are.
So, for instance, if you want to consider if you were the size of an atom, you wouldn't have to worry about gravity, really.
What if I was the size of a spaceship? Would I have to worry about the Earth being closed?
But for spaceships, you can regard it as open. But
for spaceships, we can have a complete and contrasting scenario where it's not closed. Well, that's a strange thing to say. So it's open then. If spaceships are moving out into the violation of natural law sky vacuum, then it's open, not closed. Why would you say that it's open for spaceships? Because your train example, you wouldn't have things moving along with the train if it was open, like Earth, would you?
Well, the Earth is fundamentally a closed system.
So we wouldn't have men travelling to the moon then? It's fundamentally closed. right? Unless men are lying about travelling out into this area that doesn't exist. They must be lying then, if for all intents and purposes it's closed, then they're lying about going to the moon.
But if you're worrying about the atmosphere, it's a closed system.
Atmosphere's an oxymoron. Air-sphere, air takes the shape of its container. It doesn't take the shape of a sphere.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. Do you want to show me air taking the shape of a sphere without containment?
Yep, I can show any picture of the Earth from space. Will show you.
Oh no, that would be a second law of thermodynamics violation that they can't get to if it's closed. How are they getting there to take these pictures if it's closed?
Well, it's not closed to...
So it's not closed? You've just told us it is closed.
For the purposes of the atmosphere...
Atmosphere's an oxymoron. Air-sphere, air takes the shape of its container, and you've said, no, I can show you air in a photograph taking the shape of a sphere-shaped Earth, and I'm asking, how do they get there if it's closed? Well, if it's closed for air to maintain that spherical shape, then they're not getting outside of it to take pictures of it, because it's closed. And you're saying, well, for the purposes of going out to take a picture of this closed system, it's open.
Correct.
Wow. Rumpus, man. You just killed yourself like 5 times over.
So it's an open-closed oxymoron, then?
My God.
If you didn't understand...
If you stuttered like a stammering fundy bitch that's here to lie people, you'd be just like the astronauts saying they're leaving a closed system. We're definitely in a closed system. Rumpus knows it. He's told you it's the case. To all practical purposes, it's closed. Yeah, until we point out that men can't go to the moon, then he changes his tune very rapidly and says that they can go out and take a picture of the closed system because it's open. You stupid idiot.
You don't understand science, do you, engineering?
Oh, it's now the ad hoc
clip, right?
Understand science, right? Ad hoc me with I don't understand science.
Understand simple explanations.
Yeah, fuck you. I understand the second law of thermodynamics. That would be an entropy increase. And if the sky was a vacuum, the gas would fill the space. Because it's claimed to be an open system. It is claimed that men travel to the moon, even though you're telling us that to all intents and purposes it's closed. Until you need to take a photograph from a fake place, then it's very much open, according to Rumpus, the double-speaking fundy liar.
Sometimes you don't have to consider them. So for the point of view of the Earth as a large body, you can regard it as a closed system.
So then men aren't going to the moon then, it's closed. Matter can't leave a closed system. So matter would be spaceships. Spaceships can't leave because according to Rumpus it's a closed system. And it'd need to be for us to have gas pressure here.
Its status depends on what you want to do. If you want to talk about...
Oh, it depends what the status of your model and your description within the model depends. Well, that's not how reality works. Reality has got natural laws it must follow. Doesn't depend like your stupid globe model. Your globe model depends on the circumstances, because in your model you have men travelling to a place that doesn't exist. In your model you have atmosphere, but in reality air doesn't take a sphere shape, it takes the shape of its container. And you're never going to accept that because you've got an open system to be photographed as closed because it's open. You've got a fundamental contradiction in your description, and you agreed when I pointed out the fundamental contradiction of your open and closed simultaneous systems.
There's an atmosphere up there.
Not listening to me anymore. Get lost.
Validated
Get
empirical
lost.
fact
Get lost.
that there's a
Get
vacuum
lost.
up there.
Stopped listening. Get about 5 minutes ago, so get lost. Yeah, the second I start pointing out that I've confirmed and he has agreed that he's got a contradiction in terms, open and closed, not being capable simultaneously unless he needs to describe something that way in his model, not reality, not obeying natural law because gas would fill the sky vacuum, and he admits it. But then when I point it out again and again and again, he thinks he can just talk through me non-stop and not listen. Get lost, you fundy zealot. You've confirmed to my audience that you need them to think of Earth as both open and closed. Open for spaceships, closed for gas. Yeah, you can't have it both ways though, can you, fundies? That's where your argument dies on its ass. The sky is not a vacuum. They've lied to every one of us about the sky being a vacuum, that they travel to these claim to be rocks that are actually just lights in the sky. And they tell us that we have gas pressure because we have sphere-shaped air law, when they assume we're on a sphere that's disobeying natural law. Well, in that circumstance, it's got to be thought of as closed. But unless we want to take a picture of it being closed, then it'll be open. A couple of shout-outs to James Richard, who's been smashing the super chat while that was all going down. So thank you very much indeed. And also Retro Bill, I'll shout you both out. So For practical purposes, the Earth system is open. For impractical purposes, however, the Earth is a completely open system. Yeah, that's right on. Thank you very much indeed, Retro Bill. Really appreciate the support. Also, James Richard. Rumpus, do you not see what the powers that be are doing right now? Lockdowns, masks, vaccine, censorship. Why do you trust them? Because they're damn sure not giving us science, in quotes. Thank you very much indeed, James Richard, for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
Good point.
Then you forgot to ask Rumpus his most feared question.
What's that?
Who is he? What's his name? Remember he ran away?
Yeah, I don't care, really. I was just making a point when I said that to him. He said I was tucked up in a bunker when he's hiding behind a faceless, nameless sock, and no one knows who he is, where he is, what he does. He's a complete phantom, totally absolving him from needing any credibility. He doesn't have any. People still pay attention to him for some unknown reason. His namesake describes a disturbance. That's what a rumpus is. So he's a faceless, nameless troll that comes to cause a disturbance and doublespeak. Yeah? So he wants to claim that me in some bunker, I think he called it. Nah, he's completely nameless and faceless and hiding behind his screen. Me? People come round. People know where I am. I meet people. I go out. Or did when I could. So I'm using my real name. You see my face. You know exactly where I am. Him? We don't have any of that stuff. He's completely anonymous. Hey, QE.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. But just around that. Sorry. Just 1 sec. Just around that point out though. I don't care. I'm only interested in the argument. I couldn't care less who Rumpus is. I don't care. I don't care why it motivates him. None of that interests me.
Hey, that Rumpus's train example that he said is like the Earth. What would happen if you rolled down the window and the vacuum of space in their model is outside that train? What would happen to the air pressure in that train? So he actually died on 2 points.
Right. So what if the top of the atmosphere, haha, air sphere, yeah. What if it was just unable to let tiny particles past, like a membrane, but it would allow sudden penetration towards the other side by a bigger object, like a shooting rocket?
So open and closed.
Then it would be open.
Yeah.
That's the problem, Harlan. The open part.
Right, closed energy can transfer. Yeah, think of a thermos. Yeah, eventually the stuff inside will get cold because the energy can transfer. Yeah, open is when you take the lid off and pour stuff out. Matter's moving between the two different containers in that example.
Well, maybe if there was just something like a sort of a membrane there, not necessarily a shield or a literal barrier, but just a membrane that would hold back the general pressure, stabilize it versus outer space vacuum. But that sudden penetration, getting all, you know what?
Do they claim there's a membrane?
By pushing through the membrane, as it were, and then it would just close up behind it.
Great minds, chocolate. Yes. Do you want to repeat that?
Do they claim there's a membrane up there?
No, they just claim airspace.
They might in the future.
They just claim sphere-shaped air law. I can get my tongue around it while I'm smiling.
Right, but they still have so much to figure out about this Earth, since they got so many gaps in their argument. So they still will have to open up certain options as to what reality really is in order to fix that. So maybe a membrane would pose a solution.
Yeah, but Arwen, if they've got so much to figure out about this Earth, and it's obvious it's not sphere-shaped because of the black swan, why are they still holding on to debunked concepts?
It's called zealotry.
I don't know, man. Something that assumes R within it to prove it is better than just not assuming R at all.
If the opposing positions are actually put down in the rhetoric, they think it's acceptable to hold both positions in cognitive dissonance because the rhetoric says so. It's to be considered open in this set of circumstances when we look at our model. It's also to be considered closed under these set of circumstances when we look at our model. Now go forth in cognitive dissonance and understand that both are true. Go away.
Well, or they have to figure out another way of approaching it. Maybe between the open and the closed, there is a whole spectrum yet to be discovered of conditions to be in between open and closed, and they just have to figure out how that works. And they only recently discovered that that is the case because it have to be, or everything else would make no sense. And they're just now finding out and attempting to figure out what that is. So this may be
A bit
the
like
start of a great new Just So story to explain it.
a bit like gender. There's loads, really. We're only just finding out how many millions of genders there are. It's amazing when you think about it. We're just finding this out now.
I thought there was a method in place to find out the cause of an effect.
There is, yeah. It's called the scientific method.
I think you described it correctly then. They're not lying, are they? As you eloquently put it, in these conditions, and this is what they stated, and this is what Rumpus stated, in these conditions, it is to be considered like this in the model. In these conditions, it's to be considered like this. So again, I come back to, they're not directly lying. It's the choice is there and the truth is there, and it's for you to accept it and reify it. And that's what happens. But they're not lying, are they?
Yeah, exactly. Like Musa telling you to think of it as a force. He's giving you permission to completely violate what he's told you. Literally, it's not a force, he says. But you, Sunshine, you, man or woman listening, you can think of it as a force. I give you permission.
And it's therefore the individual that does it, because their language isn't lying to you, is it? It's very clever.
Yeah, it's happening in the model. When Rumpus says the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth, it's being very sneaky with his language. He means Earth as a sphere. Of course, that's what we're debating, aren't we? The models. No, we're not. He is. And he's going to assume that the audience is on the same page as him. Well, we're talking about the heliocentric model and how it works. Well, you will consider it working as thus in this instance. And you will also consider it working as thus in this instance. Because that's how the model is to be considered. Yet nature doesn't give a crap about how we consider things.
It's been a while since they went the route of, oh, the second law of thermodynamics is only describing an isolated system, so therefore it can't apply to the Earth. Missed that one.
No, the second law of thermodynamics is utilizing a description of an isolated system to describe things that occur always in nature. It's merely a description. But the description is of things that occur always. So because the description utilizes this concept of an isolated system, it invalidates the description of things that happen always, or infers that they don't occur always? Nah, they're descriptions of things that occur always. Well, you don't like the words used in the description? Ah, well, they still occur always. Well, on that long protracted silence, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Link below is a link to get £50 back for switching your UK energy supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day! That's when the real gems come out.
Well, he set himself up by comparing our existence on Earth to a train.
Yeah, he was working towards a train wreck.
Good one.
Is Nathan Thompson still here? He was asking me something, and my wife had gone downstairs to exchange cash for a baby changing table. Therefore, I was left with a screaming baby for a few minutes. I couldn't hear what he was saying.
He got kicked by Ahmad.
Why?
Wrong.
Why?
He didn't get kicked.
Okay. Furious. Made up.
He got live muted in text, but that doesn't kick him out of the show.
I stand corrected.
Okay, well, I'm sure he'll catch up with me at a later time when I've not got a screaming baby sat on me.
Ask me a question, please.
Eric, ask you a question, did you say?
No, can I ask one?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm just wondering how like when they derive the R value from the presupposed spherical Earth, when they draw, where's the tangent? Is it on the side that the guy's standing on, or the side of the horizon? Is that where the tangent is?
The line you're drawing is from your position to the horizon, so you're considered in their depiction top of the ball, and the horizon's considered the physical geometric sphere.
Yeah, what he's saying, Nathan, he's saying there is no tangent if they do it orthographically, and he would be right.
No, I'm trying to like
when you draw it to the center of the Earth. That's the triangle you create as your tangent.
Not the center of the Earth, the point where it meets the circumference. That's the
But if
tangent.
you're going to draw it as a tangent to calculate it, you have to draw it all the way down to get your right angle.
But no, that's the radius, isn't it?
No, because then you can, but you do use that as R. You can then take them out and use it as...
but the definition of tangent is the intersecting point with the circle, right?
Yeah, but then your adjacent becomes R and your opposite becomes R plus the observer height. So you can use algebra to solve it like that.
Yeah, but his point is that it's never going to make contact with the surface of the Earth if it's a orthographic view of a sphere, because it would never create a tangent point.
Well, it does, doesn't it? If it's an orthographic view of the sphere,
with an observer looking out to the it would never make contact with it because it would always be running parallel to this.
No, the right angle's not formed at the observer's point, is it? The right angle is formed at the center of the ball. That's where you draw your right angle from, because it's your that's your hypotenuse, isn't it?
I might have misheard the start of the sentence as I only joined midway through, but sorry, carry on. I might have misheard.
Going to come up on screen. I just can't scrub through it with enough precision to bring it up as a slide on the video that rolls while the show's on. But at any minute now, one of the next slides, I think, is Al Bruni's measurement shown in orthographic view, so you can see it. Give you a shout when it appears. Don't sit here in silence waiting for it to scroll on.
You get what I'm on about, Nathan? In terms of...
Yeah, you've got a right angle drawn down with your zenith and then up to the tangent point that you've derived from the 90 degree at your zenith, drawn out to an imaginary horizon. So the dip angle's the horizon.
Lovely Scottish Highlands.
But how do you draw it? Like, say you're the guy, you're standing there and you're going to do all that. And you see the horizon, how do you draw it in real life? How do you draw it out to it? Don't you have to walk to it? But if it's not a real place, then so how do you get the distance?
Well, they assume it is. They assume it is a real place.
I had it right, didn't I?
No, they assume it is. They assume it's like a hill getting in the way. So when you look out from up a high building, there you go. It's on screen now. You can't see it in Discord, unfortunately. Anthony, can you see that?
Yes.
There you go.
So it's R plus B, and then you're going to solve for A to C. Yeah? And your right angle there it is. Look. Let's see.
Yeah, but his point is that when it's being drawn orthographically.
This is orthographically.
I got another image in Master B if you care to look at it.
Okay. But yeah, so A to B is the zenith, right? The line directly above, down through your head to the ground. Well, from there, you draw a 90 degree to that zenith. And that gives you I can never remember the name of this bloody horizon. Astronomical horizon, is it?
Yeah.
Astronomical horizon. That's this line for the audience's benefit that I'm drawing along with my mouse at 90 degrees to the zenith, which is this line. Well, then you draw a line to the horizon. Now, obviously, it's massively exaggerated in this depiction, but that gives you the 90 degree point. And that gives you your radius when you do the trig.
How do you draw it to the horizon, though?
You just look out to the
How do you know
horizon. See where
You
it
look
is?
out to the horizon and you go, that horizon is at X amount of miles, yeah? And that's where you then assume distance A to C is X amount of miles, and then you plug the rest in.
How do you know that, though? It's just a guess. Like,
You don't. That's the point. C, in this example, is physical. It's the physical tangent point, the edge of the sphere, beyond which you can't see, before which you can see. It's the limiting point of the physicality of the sphere. It's the edge. It's the leading edge. It's the bit that you can see that you're measuring a straight line to. That's your tangent, right? Your tangent point is C. Well, in reality, C isn't real. It's not physical. It's not an actual location. But they say it is. It's just that simple. They also say that if there was a building beyond this physical point they're claiming, C being the horizon depicted here in orthographic view. Well, they say if you're beyond that point, you have a certain amount blocked by its physicality. And again, I restate, C is not a physical location. The horizon's not physical. And when depicted in side view, what have you got? You've got a single point. Well, that's not what a horizon looks like.
Yeah, but how would you ever know how far away an horizon is, regardless of your elevation or your supposed mathematics? How could you ever know how far away an horizon is when you just have the front on view?
You can't.
You can't.
Can't. Exactly. You can't.
No, so you
where it
calculate
is, where
angle alpha.
you're measuring out
dip angle.
You're measuring out to a not actual position.
Even from what Adam just said there, see this dip angle, that's still only a hope and a maybe. You still can't validate what you're doing. Because you have to start with an astronomical horizon.
No, but you can solve it mathematically, can't you? Once you've got A, look, you've got all those nice lines, look, straight parallel line. You can solve it, can't you? The mathematical problem is now solvable.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
so
a
basically-
mathematical thing then, not
Yeah, but what they're doing is they're mathematicizing it into existence as a physical point, right?
Yeah. C is now mathematicized, as Anthony puts it, into existence as a physical location. You can't derive an apparent position where the sky appears to meet the ground, which is redundant. It's an apparent location. It doesn't have any physicality. It moves with the bloody weather. And it cannot be a sphere edge because it's beyond its parameters in the Black Swan. But they still assert it and can turn it into maths and make the horizon physical in maths. Here it is. There it is. C. The letter C, not as in C or yes.
Well, Olympus did tell us that the geometric horizon only exists in the math, so way to go.
Yeah. So he's not lying, is he there? It only exists in the maths in real world. The horizon is the apparent location, right? Not fixed because the Black Swan proves it.
Correct. So let's just repeat that because it's a quote from Rumpus, and as he's been on the show, it's worth quoting him. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. Now, in reality, we have a not actual horizon, a non-physical location. Whereas in their maths, for Earth curve, it's physical. There it is, see? On screen now.
So they must have picked that distance for the reason of your eyesight, right?
Yeah, what forms it is optical. The diffraction limit, the weather, anything that's obscuring your view before you and that diffraction limit. There's a whole number of things that can create the horizon, the majority of which are based on the optics that you're viewing it with. In this instance, your eyes. Well, you can calculate them. What do you know? The maths is almost identical to Earth curve maths, where they assert physical geometry is the reason for the horizon, even though you can calculate it with the Rayleigh criterion. And it works out the same. It's the same maths. It's the same numbers. They just hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve.
By the way, Nathan.
Say again.
By the way, Nathan, apparently, according to Conspiracy Cats, you just made up the Rayleigh criterion. Guess what? The Rayleigh criterion's got a load of maths. So if he's going to claim that you've just made it up, yet there's some existing formulas for it already, then doesn't that seem to be a double standards? On the one hand, he's happy to criticize you for making it up, even though there's maths for it, yet he applies the very maths that's made up to make the horizon into a physical place himself. It's directly contradicting his own position.
Call me Nathan Rayleigh.
Nathan Rayleigh.
I was just going to ask, is Nathan's real name Rayleigh?
Well, that's
is that you?
It seems that's the new criteria.
Anything that disagrees with the assertion that we've got a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon marked in this depiction as C, as reified, as physical, and then mathematicized, as Anthony puts it, into existence, when in reality we only have a not actual location, an apparent position where the sky and ground or sea meet, then you've got to deny anything that goes in the face of that. And that would include the Rayleigh criterion, the black swan, anything that shows that it is actually optical as opposed to this depiction, which is geometric. They need geometry. We've debunked it.
In case anybody's wondering, mathematicized derives from the word romanticized. And it is a word, I've just made it up, but that's where it comes from. They romanticize things into existence.
It exists because Anthony made it up himself.
Go back to the point, though. I think my problem is
Say again, Brian.
with an actual geometry, right?
You're breaking up.
Still couldn't do what
You can't hear me telling him he's breaking up. You're breaking up. Can you drop and rejoin, Brian? You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
You can't.
He can't even hear us.
No, he can't hear us telling him he's breaking up. His connection's so bad he can't hear us telling him. Brian, can you hear us? You're breaking up. Can you drop and rejoin?
I didn't hear that.
Can you drop and rejoin?
You should go back and listen to that, Brian.
You drop and rejoin.
Yeah, everyone was breaking up. Was I breaking up or was I rejoining? That's okay.
Yes.
Got through. Hooray. Happy days.
Thanks for expanding on that question I had. I wanted to, upon that question, once Brian joins back, I want to hear what he was saying. But on top of that question, so let's say you reify that into the sphere edge, and now you have your radius. So when they were going about this, the next stop from there seemed to be okay, now we're going to assume the size of Venus and use the R value. Could you if you can, and it doesn't take too long, explain how they use that third law of motion and the assumption of Venus with the R value, how that worked?
Let me do this, Nathan. This is my research. Okay, so Kepler's third law on interplanetary motion gives them the ratio, and it's infinitely variable. They can have it as close as they want, or they can have it as far away as they want, and these things are continuously adjustable to suit whatever narrative they want. They've got the ratio, right? But they needed the distance. So what Christine Huygens did, and I'll give you a link if you want it. Christine Huygens was credited for something that deserves more credit and praise because it was ingenious, it was described. And he assumed that Venus was the same size as the Earth. But on the basis of the claim that the Earth's got a specific size, he accepted the Eratosthenes calculation, where Eratosthenes calculated the radius of Earth as a sphere, which was an assumption. So he's assuming the size of Venus based on the assumption that Eratosthenes' calculations were correct when he assumed that Earth was a sphere. So it's basically an assumption based on an assumption, which gives them the size of the solar system. Because then you can work out all the sizes once you get distances.
I think he's asking more about Kepler's third law, which I incorrectly called second earlier, but Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion. I think he's asking how it gets scaled, just to lead you a little bit.
Well, it's infinitely variable. Depends on how big they are, gives you the distance away. So you can make it as small as you want and close, or as big as you want and as far away. And that ratio is continuously variable. So it just depends on how big they are. But you need to know how big they are to get the distances. You need to know how far away they are to get the size of them. Apparent size is required from a specific position or location, right? A distance. They don't know the distances to any of these things, so they just assume it.
So they take the radius of the Earth, they assume the radius of Venus, then Venus moves through the sky to a new spot, like that's what they call it, the parallax, isn't it? And then they take that distance and do trigonometry and get the distance back to there. That's what I'm confused about.
Yeah,
It's
what
the
Anthony's saying is
transit time. So
Go
for
on,
transit time to have any relevance, again, it's only scaled again, isn't it? If you assume the R value of Venus is the same, then its transit time can then elucidate distance.
That's on a
So
sliding
goes,
scale.
What's his question again?
But that's on a sliding scale, so you can vary it as much as you like. You just have to change one of the values of actual size. And if, as Anthony puts it, when you're dealing with the apparent sizes, it doesn't give you any of the distances or the sizes. So at some point, you have to assume an actual size of something, because then you can scale everything from that. So they assume Venus is the same size as Earth in actual size, and then you can scale everything based on its trajectories, the transits, and the variance of the apparent sizes based on the scalar, and that scalar is Venus with Earth's R value, assumed by Christian Huygens.
well, we're back to assuming the Earth is a globe to begin with Eratosthenes, all the way to this last one. So they have to make it work for that. So that's why the calculations always work for that, because they're already saying we're a sphere. So how does it work with a sphere? Then they make up the math for it.
Correct. And to get these distances in astronomical terms, you're going to have to extrapolate with the R value, and they show how they do that as well. When they're getting these distances to the sun or whatever, they're utilizing an R value when they're doing their triangulation to this intangible object. But they're ultimately changing the value they get in terms of what they think they're triangulating, even though they can't, in actual terms, triangulate an intangible object. They'll transpose in R and then extend the distances out.
Well, there's something about Eratosthenes that is not taken into account, and that is he done a direct north-south estimation of the distance between Alexandria and Cyan. I'm not sure if Cyan is north or Alexandria is north. It doesn't matter. But he done a direct 500 mile estimation. But that it doesn't matter flat or curved, because if you're using a latitude and longitude grid like they always use, I don't know if he did, but they always use, then it works out the same. Flat or curved is the same distance. North to south, south to north. It's the same distance. It's only east to west is the difference with the latitude and longitude grid. We are talking about, I know, like the WJS84 type thing, where you have an oblate spheroid type model. It's the same distance. So they have to claim that Eratosthenes pre-assumed it's a sphere, because they had no way out of it, because otherwise he just showed a distance.
Yeah, they can't.
Well, I could add to that. They also assume light is coming in parallel, and we know light doesn't come in parallel because anyone could see the sun's rays are divergent. So in order for them to have it work, light has to come in parallel. And even Neil deGrasse Tyson says that Eratosthenes, what he did, can work on a flat Earth. So sometimes they like light coming in parallel. Then other times, when I'm studying celestial navigation, they show it coming in divergent rays. So they need it to come in parallel, but it doesn't come in parallel. So the whole model falls on that.
But the claim is that Eratosthenes was measuring a globe. That's the claim. There's no evidence of that. There's only evidence that this person that may have existed, Eratosthenes, predicted a 500-mile distance between those two locations, north to south. So that's no difference whether it's... How do you know that he was not thinking he was on a flat Earth? There's no evidence that he was a globe or even.
They went by the shadow, and they're saying the shadow was cast because of an arc to the Earth. But in reality, the shadow is cast because of the divergent ray of the sun. It's simple as that.
Yeah, they went by the shadow. But I'm talking about Aristophanes himself.
Oh,
if
well,
he
I don't know.
existed, they have no like source evidence that he was stating any shape.
I see what you're saying. You're saying
You know
that
what I mean?
they hijacked. They may have hijacked what he did, just like they ascribed gravity to Newton.
Yeah, well, if you take what he did and you make it into a diameter, as opposed to turning it into a radius, if you make it into a diameter using straight north to south and not turn it into not use a globe, just make a diameter, you come out with 24,840 or 60 miles, nearly exactly the same as what it is as an equator size for the globe. If you use the latitude and longitude grid, not that I'm saying that you should, I'm just saying if you do it that way, you end up with that. So what they're claiming is only a claim. They have no source evidence that Eratosthenes even existed. Never mind said anything.
This is where we have to consider going back to the what's his name, the Marconi transatlantic telecommunication ping thing that he did with Morse code. Because when you said that, who's to know what Eratosthenes considered when he assumed sphere? Well, presumably, whatever his position was that he believed at the time, he's applied what he believed, right? But they tell us that he assumed sphere. Well, if you think of Marconi, they didn't have the ionosphere as a mathematical adjustment for why they get these ping datas across the Atlantic. The ionosphere came afterwards. So because Marconi didn't have that knowledge that the ionosphere existed, which, let's be honest, is a mathematical adjustment, right? There isn't anything that's bouncing the signal off. It's just the Earth's not curving away from the signal. That's why it gets there. But Marconi, you've got to look at Marconi's intention when he did it, because if he believed he was on a sphere, there would be no reason to even try, because America's fallen behind the globe and they know that radio waves propagate in straight lines. So the question becomes, well, what was his intention? Because Marconi obviously did it and was successful. Yet if he believed he was on a sphere and the ionosphere didn't exist, it would be impossible for them to receive the ping, but they got it. So it's like Marconi must have either knew that he was on a flat plane or was told he was on a ball, but was a flat earther on a ball. Because if he was on a sphere and the ionosphere didn't exist, he wouldn't have a motive for trying it.
Before you repeat it all again, wasn't the ionosphere invented after the fact?
Yeah, he was the reason why the ionosphere got. I
was going to say, wasn't he the reason? But exactly.
Declination. They had to correct for why things weren't lining up. Well, he's got that transatlantic ping, but it's not meant to happen on a sphere. So did Marconi know that he was on a sphere and believed that he was living on a plane? Or did he know that it was a flat plane and that's why he tried it in the first place?
I think it's more likely the latter, because, as you say, if you've got something that's justifying the receiving end being capable of receiving it with the ionosphere that didn't exist when he first did it, it's like, well, what was he attempting to do? Why would he even bother, as you put it? Anyway,
that's the $1 million question. Why would he bother? There would be no reason for him to even try.
Indeed.
Yeah, but sure.
Nathan, sir.
Yes.
Before you close out, man, I'd like to go to another topic.
Well, before we do go to another topic, I'd also like to say a quick hello to our illustrious leader. The boss is in today. So hello, we've got Betty Van Velsen. How you doing? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear.
Good to have you, boss.
Hi, Betty.
Hey, Adam. Yeah, I think that John he's trying to get to my topic.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay. That was a good bit of timing then. Go ahead, Kiwi.
Unless you guys need to go on and on about.
Don't put it like that. On and on. That was very interesting.
Like you guys are prone to do.
What afternoons are for?
Yeah.
How are you, Betty?
Hey, Neil. Hi. I heard about a show a short while ago, and it seemed to be a roast of me, my mods, and my server.
No, not
I
you.
wasn't invited, so I thought maybe I might show up and see if I can make something straight.
Okay.
At least let me give my synopsis of what I think of the admin show that Nathan doesn't like.
Feel free.
Well,
The mic,
can I ask
the,
what?
the, the
Can I
mic
ask
is
what
all.
would be the point? You've
Well,
stated your
hold on,
position.
Anthony.
We all
Hold
accept
on,
your
hold on.
position, and
I mean, I
Hold
can
on,
state
hold
my
on.
position
Before we get into the
before you
wrangle
interrupt
dangle,
me.
hello. Just ask permission to hold the mic for a bit, and she's going to get it. But just after one small disclaimer, Betty, I think you'll find when that happened, you were very well represented here. We had Mark Taylor putting your position forward.
Mark Taylor?
Yeah, you were very well represented.
Yeah, well, at the end, everything came to Betty. Oh, let's bring things to Betty and appeal to Betty, and this is all about me, right? So let me
Yep.
state why I made this server in the first place. It was to give a medium to you, Nathan, and to QE, right? To have their shows here live, and to have a platform here. So that's what the show is about, and what it does is to serve you with people to come in with low level, right? There's no high entry to come in here. People can go straight into the live shows and can participate. Okay, so we all know that flat earthers are not. There are not many flat earthers that are able to debate or want to debate. So there's many people that are in here that are the globers, basically. And what I find is that a lot of people that were on that admin show were complaining about bad moderation. But I think that a lot of people don't understand how difficult it can be to moderate, especially when you want to have a non-biased server.
So we don't understand, really?
Yes, because I think that it's also
Outrageous, Betty.
it's
Betty,
so
it's outrageous.
Give her a couple
easy,
more minutes.
sleeping
Give her a couple
warrior,
more minutes.
to
Go
be
ahead,
on the
Betty.
sidelines and never to do this yourself. And
That's
you're
outrageous,
biased,
Betty.
everybody's biased, and it's hard to find a moderator that is not biased. And when I got one, he's getting criticized. Yes,
He is biased. He is biased, Betty. I've watched it with my own two eyes, and I don't appreciate being told that I don't understand. What are you doing?
You have been only once to my server where you were stripped of your roles because of the fact you did something that I don't allow in my server, and Righteous did that same thing that I didn't want him to do, that I don't want you to do, right? I don't want people banned and kicked out of my server. I don't allow
I didn't
that.
ban. I didn't kick. I moved. And the reason was there was 20 or so placeholders that were not talking, and we wanted to try and stimulate conversation.
You banned people of my server. I saw it in the log.
I didn't. You're lying. That is not true.
I saw it.
You're lying. That is not true. I didn't ban anybody.
I saw it in the logs.
You're lying. I did not ban anybody. I just moved people out.
Yeah. Still, you never modded in my server. I gave you moderations from the beginning, right? You never modded. Then you got involved into servers.
Do you know what I did? Do you know what I did, Betty? I let everything slide.
Hey, Anthony, stop over talking her.
Fuck off.
Can you take this elsewhere if it's going to descend into this?
I'll give you fuck off, son.
Ugh, no need. No need. He's left. Good for him.
The
Carry on,
thing is
Betty.
with Anthony, he accuses a lot of people, right? While he has been played by certain people. So he was on another server where they had nice conversations and stuff. And one of the members there was also on my server. And we didn't agree on a certain meme that was presented because it doxed someone, right? It was a baller, but we don't allow also people to be doxed. I don't allow anybody else to be doxed, and also not ballers. So we weren't agreeing on that, and we had a little bit of a sort of thing going on with that person, and then he came with Anthony, right? So Anthony was being played so that that person could be whining and manipulating me to do certain things on my server, and I don't allow that. So there's two things that I really hate. It's one, hypocrites, and second, it's that manipulating, whining by certain flat earthers in this sense, and also ballers. So I do not condone that, and then I usually separate them. So that's what happens. And Righteous knows that, and he does the same thing. So when Anthony was finally coming into my server. He was attacked by ballers. And he has a name, so people will attack him. It's the same with QE. When he comes in, he is getting attacked by people immediately. So if you can't stand the heat, then don't get into the fight, right? And I don't like people being banned or kicked. We just isolate them, correct them, and then can come back. That's
He's
how it
denying
works.
that, Betty. He's denying that. He's saying he didn't ban anybody. He made that really. He got really up close to his mic. Trust me, I heard what he said. He's denying that
Well,
categorically.
then he threatened to ban people. I don't know, but I saw mod logs that said otherwise. So Righteous Force was just getting his roles off so that he couldn't do it, right? And he apologized to me for doing that. Then he said, well, I want to apologize to Anthony about this. Anthony spoke to me and he didn't want to speak to Righteous. So if he has a problem with certain people, he needs to take that with that person and not hide behind me or anybody else. That's what I think.
But Righteous defers it to you, to be fair. I mean, I can't really not bring that up because he just defers to you and says, well, Betty's happy with what I'm doing. And Anthony just says, well, that's Betty then. So he can't take it any further.
So we talked and I said, okay, you have a thing with Righteous Force. Let's talk about it, the three of us, right? He didn't want to do it.
Could you be mistaken about him banning people? He seemed pretty emphatic. He's not normally that emphatic if he's wrong.
I can only see what I see, right?
Okay. Well, thank you for putting your side across. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Well, the thing is that I'm agreeing with Righteous that I think that admin, and I think that you also agree on that, shouldn't be in a show, right? I gave this server as a way for people to come in, so that make it low key, basically. And yes, the ballers stay, and there are trolls that also stay here. And I can ban them easily, right? But they come back on soccer accounts multiple times, and the server gets maybe raided or people make screenshots and put that to the trust and safety of Discord, and then we lose the server. I don't want to have a big fight with trolls. Just ignore them and just man up. That's what I think.
That's something I accepted after a year or two of doing videos. The same principle applies in the comment section. And I get endless emails. Occasionally I'll strop at them because they'll be swearing or getting abusive with me and telling me this. But in the comments section, you end up with abusive trolls that if you ban them, they just come back as a different account and then try and claim that as your censorship of them when they're being trolls. So you just have to accept it.
And even more vicious, right? They come back more vicious than before.
You can't die on every cross. So yeah, you could, or I could spend the majority of my time not producing material, not doing what I do for the YouTube channel and moderating comments. There aren't enough hours in the day to do both. Well, you just have to accept it because you can't battle it. Now, the people who don't run YouTube channels don't tend to understand that. They don't appreciate that you could just ban somebody, they'll just come back the next day. And sometimes they'll try and highlight that fact by giving themselves a number, like this is the same account, but with number 4, 5, 6, 7, to show how many times you've banned them. So what are you going to do? You just have to accept it. Man up, accept that that's what's going to happen in the comment section. Or I can turn the comment section off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all see here in what's happening in the world where you got this polarization going on, and a certain group or people group are getting banned or better being muted. I don't want to be a server where that happens. Yes, there are trolls. Yes, it can be very nasty, but it can also be very nasty from the flat Earth side. There are some really how do you say, militant flat earthers that have just found out or just are on the game, and they are really emphatically going on and on and on with these ballers, and they get into a trolley way. So that happened with Crit. He posted a meme about something, and then it sort of explodes. People make fun of him, right? And that happens. And if you can't stand that, then get out of the way. Then this is not the server for you. And I told him once before. He has left once before. And I don't like the whining, and I don't like it if he has to use others to get his way. I find it to be very manipulating, and I don't like that.
But on the flip
And I
side
meet
of
a lot more flat earthers that have that same sort of trait, and I think you either are good with your arguments and stand your ground, or you get out of the way, right? And most of the people are hanging around with you or with QE, and it's I think it's ridiculous, because if you are so good with the debate, then you can also stand your ground anywhere else, right? So don't whine, just get to it, get the good arguments, and see that you win.
it works both ways, right? In other words, on your server, you do have the empathy for the guy who's furious when he's actually found out, as you put it. You know, that guy that's just found out, and they're angry. But by the same token, those people, the same empathy is expressed to them also in the server, as far as I can ascertain.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what Pillbox and the other guy who was on the original show when this happened, Anthony, never brought it up. The other
That's
two
what I
guys
wanted
brought
to
it up.
ask too. Why was Crit being banned and nobody else? That's all I got to ask. Or
Well,
being what do you
that's
call
the
it, muted
thing.
or whatever.
That's the thing, you know, and that's what I agree on with Righteous Force. There's some things going behind the scenes that you guys don't know about, right? Some things that we get to hear or get to read, and that's something between us and the person. And I'm not going to bring that out in the open.
Oh, go
Right?
on.
Okay.
Oh, go on. Just tell us.
No,
Well-
okay. I received that.
Yeah. So and I think it's not. I don't want to gossip about it, and I don't want to whine, and I don't want to be winning people over just by sympathy. You know, I don't think that's good. And I think that Righteous Force, but was thinking about that same thing. He doesn't want to do that.
That's
and
in
yes, we have a moderating problem in the sense of that we have too few moderators. But I want things to be moderated a certain way. And people want to get into the debate themselves, and then they forget that they are in that debate and also a moderator, and then they fly off the handle, and that's not good. So we need moderators that can be out of the debate and still be a good moderator. So if anybody's up for that, then please let me know.
And this in and of itself is aggravation for someone like Righteous Force, who's doing this of his own volition. He's not paid. He gives up his time to do it, and it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I would say about that, to be totally fair, and this is coming from my own experiences. When I did go into the server, I did go into Discord debating, was that I ended up arguing with 4 different people. Is there something wrong? I hear someone coming through there.
It's Betty's mic discipline. She's not often actually involved in the talky bit, so she just keeps herself
I thought
off
it was
mute.
my mic again.
She's the boss, so it's too rude for me to just tell her. So indirectly, I'm telling her.
Betty, when you're not talking, just go on mute.
Sorry. Go ahead. My issues there earlier.
There you go. Go ahead now. You're good, Brian. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, John. What happened was I ended up arguing with 4 ballers, and it ends up just being a 2-hour shout fest. And Righteous was there, and he stepped in now and again. But if I'm going to be there moderating, if I'm going to do the job, I'm going to do it. Now, if he gives up a lot of his time to do it, that's fair enough. I understand that. But there's no point in him trying to do it if he's not going to actually do it.
Hold on. Hold on, Brian. There's a big... Hold on. Let me just make a distinction. There's
no grey area, Nathan.
Well, I'm trying to make the grey area, and you'll have to accept it or not. So there's a big distinction between a debate moderator, as in somebody that's going to step in when there's something unreasonable happening in the debate, which is like in your example, 4-on-1 and you're not getting your chance or whatever, and a server moderator. He's got a set of parameters within the server that he has to abide by, and he's not there to step in as a debate moderator. If he was, it'd never leave.
Well, fair enough, but in that case, then there is no actual debate moderation then. Because
Well, that might
that's
very
the
well
whole
be the
point of
case.
thing is a debate.
Right, that might well be the case. It's a free for all in there for the majority of the time. I mean, when there's someone like me, and I'm taking charge, well then no, then that is a different circumstance, and it's the same with Spurs or QE or anyone else who utilises the server. They take charge, but that's upon whoever to do exactly that.
Well, I can't speak about. I only like when I went in there, it was only Righteous that was there as the moderator at the time. There's few the times I went in, and I stopped going in there because it just became just like a pointless. For me, it just became a pointless shout fest. So, and I don't point that at Betty. I pointed at Righteous. I think he's in there now to where he was here earlier. That if he's going to do it, you have to do it or not do it. Now, I understand he's doing it for free and whatever, but it's kind of like, with me, it's either it is or it isn't. That's the way I am. So that's just my personal opinion on it.
Didn't Anthony try to take charge that day by moving people out so other people could?
No, that's during that's during a live show, so that's a different set of circumstances. But in this instance, we're talking about your general day-to-day operation of a server and how the moderators of the server operate the server, as opposed to the debate happening on the server. Those are two very distinct, different things. And no, he's not there as a debate moderator. People like me, Spurs, QE, have to take it upon themselves to do that. And for me, it's an actual full-time job. In other words, you know, the amount of effort that has to go into it dominates my entire life as a result. And I wouldn't wish that on Righteous Force in a million years, unless he was getting something much more out of it than he is.
Nathan, hang on, Nathan. Anthony, when he moved people out, did he have a role as a moderator? Is that the only way he could do it?
I can't answer that. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
that's not my role here.
Yes.
Yes, he had a moderating role.
So then why do you, if Righteous is not going to do debate moderating and Anthony is a moderator, then why is anyone on this case about moderating?
Anthony was a moderator from the beginning. He never exercised the moderating role ever. And when he got plagued by some other person from another server, he went in my server. He's never in my server. He was only one time in there, maybe, and maybe a handful of times on other occasions where he didn't moderate and nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, moderation is wrong, right? So it's
No. That's not what I said.
Finish, because that's
you're talking about something else, Betty.
Yeah, but I want to have this out too. So
I know, but stay on the topic I brought.
The thing is that Anthony was one time in that server, something happened, and then immediately everything is wrong about the server all the time, every time, any place. Right? That's what I want to get out. So
fine. Now get back to now please get back to the topic I was discussing. If he had a role as a moderator and you gave it to him and he decides on that show to moderate, why is this even being talked about then?
Because he doesn't know that I don't want people kicked and banned.
He said he didn't kick them or ban them. He moved them.
Well, that's something that he threatened or did do, right? Because
you saw it.
I saw the things happening, so I didn't want to have that happen. And Righteous Force stripped him of his role before he could do any more damage.
If he moves someone from one room to another, is that banning or is that moving?
No, I'm talking about banning and kicking.
And he said, as Nathan said, got close to the mic, I never did that.
And still, I believe that I saw log logs where people were banned. So
he said he moved them. You say he banned them. We'll leave it there.
So how many years of complaints before it doesn't matter anymore?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I just came back.
He's just led in with a leading question that seemed appropriate, and he hasn't got a vaguest clue what's going on. That was epic, Arwin. The fact that he admitted to it is equally epic.
Can I say something since I am a mod?
We're talking about mods, right? So I
Go
guess
ahead, Paul.
mod heaven.
Simmer down now and just keep up with the conversation for a couple of minutes, then step in. Go ahead, Paul.
I've actually, after the conversation, I've been trying to take a more active role over the last few days in the moderation and just listening to seeing what's happening. And as of yet, I have not seen any bias as of yet. Now, I myself have had to jump in on a flat earther because they were pretty much dominating everything going on. And I had to say, look, you need to quiet down. This is about a dialogue. Let's make it to point out whatever. So I've become a more active role in that, for just for your sake, Betty, just so you know. So when I'm in there, I am trying to hear what's going on, trying to find the balance, help everybody have a good discussion instead of it becoming a crap show. You know what I mean? So just so you guys know on that side of things. But as of yet, I'm not seeing any bias on righteous side. Just to be clear, I'm not seeing it.
Thanks, Paul.
Who is it you had to tell off? Was it QE?
Oh, we telling QE off? Get in line, man. Get in line.
What I think the problem was, let me take a look from the outside because I wasn't in there. I wasn't around at the time. At this one specific issue with Anthony. Now, there are other issues, right, besides this one. This is what I got from it. Anthony was on another server. They were complaining about another gentleman and his memes, right? And they were dogging it out for about 2 or 3 weeks. Now, Anthony was hardly ever in the server. Yes, he had mod powers, but he had never come in. So this one day he come in, Betty wasn't around, Righteous was there, and Anthony started moving. I don't know whether he banned him. I don't know. He did something, and it was a little bit erratic, right? So Righteous took his roles away, which he shouldn't have done, right? And then we got the hurricane after it, where Betty said, okay, let's sit down with Righteous and Anthony. Let's work it out. It's not that big of a deal. But Righteous shouldn't have took his roles away. So that's where it ended.
Yeah.
Because Anthony didn't want to have any discussion with Righteous about it.
Yeah. And he didn't want to hear his apologies because Righteous was going to apologize for the fact that he stripped him of his roles. And he was going to give them back, but he hadn't gotten the chance because he left. He left the server.
Yeah.
And
I get that about right?
If you quarrel with someone, you at least talk to the guy.
If I may insert my 2 minutes, that's not the first time something like that has happened. It's just the last time, and Tony's made it clear to me that he's just sick of it. Because this has been playing for years now. That's why I originally asked, and I was on target, couldn't back it up at the time, how many years before it doesn't matter anymore?
It has only happened once.
No,
because he was never in my server, and he has had even shows from my server when Nathan's YouTube channel was down for a while. He had some live shows from my server, and nothing happened then, right? So there's nothing going on. But people have to understand that if you have a name for yourself, like you, Arwin, and like other people that are on this panel, and you get into the after show, and you get the people that don't normally want to go on the show live, the ballers, right? They will try to get you. Right? It's normal, right? They will try to do that.
They're not the ones bringing this up.
You have to stand your ground. And if there is any issue, why didn't I ever hear anything from anyone before, right? They know who I am. They know to find me in the server. And I've never got any complaints except for a couple of people that are whining and manipulating me to try to get them in a certain position where they have more powers so that they can abuse the powers, right? Because they will, and they do.
Can I add something, please? Just before you go on, Armin, I want to say a huge thank you to Betty, because what she does and what she provides is utterly thankless, requires huge amount of effort, provides a mad service for me and everyone who watches the channel. It's just, I can't thank her enough. And all she gets is this to deal with. So, you know, you're an angel and you've got to deal with this crap. Oh, Betty, you're ace. If you were here, I'd kiss you. You're amazing. Thank you.
I was almost going to change my server name to Numpty & Co. Lounge. I thought that what might be appropriate.
What was it?
Numpty & Co. Lounge.
If you see Betty on your travels, just say thank you to her. That would be the most appropriate response. Just say thank you.
Yeah, it is very good that we do have this show and QE show on Betty's server. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, thanks to Betty.
No doubt about that.
Exactly.
Thanks, Betty. But you've all made one mistake. You've made Anthony your enemy.
Anthony's not Betty's enemy. Anthony's ace. They will eventually kiss and make up. This is part of the course. It's not anything unusual. It's been ongoing.
I like Anthony. I like everybody. I don't hate anybody. Right? Even the ones that I ban, I bring them back a couple of times. But if people are manipulating and are going to report you to the trust and safety so that they can pull your Discord server, I mean, what are you gonna do, right? Then you have to make a stand. But there are multiple chances that I give to people to come back in. Even Rumpus is in here, right? He comes in here all the time, and I do this because I want to have a platform where also the ballers can go to the flat earthers and talk to them and have a good show. That's what I do this for. There's no malicious or win or money involved, you know?
It was also partially one of the criteria that I required. So as a public gateway, what I needed from Betty while it was being developed was it to be accessible easily by everyone, always. A public gateway. So at the time I was saying, I don't know if I say it in the intro anymore, but like all are welcome. Anybody can come. You can all click the link. Anybody can click the link. You can just join. It's easy. I wanted that to be transposed directly onto Discord when the transition happened. And eventually it reached the point where that could be the case. I got a link from Betty. It was a bit of a faff at the time. But now that link takes you straight to the server. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have a humble place where everyone's all happy. Now, as it happens, so sorry, Betty, I've just got to say this because it's interesting. All of the ballers are happy. They're all delighted. I'm sorry, I shouldn't find it so funny, but it just is. Yeah. It's just, you know, it's a testament to the fact that the server, my public gateway for the public to come and discuss the subject, it doesn't matter how quiet it is. I rest on my laurels because I can say, yeah, they can come. The fact that they're not, do you think that upsets me? No, quite the contrary. But they can, and they do, and occasionally we get the guy like we've had the last week. He popped in and hasn't said anything. He's here now. Sam, he's on server deafen. You know, for whatever reason, he's not introducing his 2 Pennyworth at the moment. But he can, and he has. Now, if that was over a moderated server, he wouldn't have got his chance. We wouldn't have heard him.
Yeah, and exactly, and it's kind of telling that we have not if it's so dominated by ballers, knowing stuff and trolling the place, they don't get into these shows, right? And they can, and they don't, and I think it's telling. I mean, that means that they don't dare come in, right? And then they just dare to troll, basically. Yeah. But they also found some friendships among one another, and when you ban one, the friendship falls apart, right? And I think that even though that my server is a debate server, also friendship and communities are being made, and also other things are being talked about. I have a lot of ballers that are Christians, and I talk with them about the things, and that's why I also don't want to have people banned that quickly. So, yeah, I think we have to know that we can't make an ideal world. If we could, we already had one.
But we can make an ideal gateway for QE and my and Spurs and a few others people's show. And that's what the server is primarily for. That's its main purpose. Now, I understand that there are tertiary benefits, all of which are benefits that are being detailed by the person who operates the server right now. As I say, thankless task, right, Betty? Nevertheless, its purpose serves beautifully and is very telling when the purpose of the show is so it's a gateway for the public so that there's a live show with a public gateway. And when it comes to the live show, it's like it's a studio. This is the studio. The Discord server is the platform. It's the stage. Now, when the lights come on, the cockroaches disappear. Yeah? And we're left with a spotlight on the fact that there's no scientific evidence for Earth being a sphere. That's what we're left with. A bright, shining spotlight. Now, there's plenty of cockroaches all around the sidelines watching it happen, but are they crawling onto the stage when the lights are on? No. And that's how it should be. I'm very happy when that is the situation. And that is the situation. And is it because the server's horrible and people come to me daily blaming the server? I don't have to deal with any of that. And I'm so grateful for it. And that's purely down to Betty. Now, you could say, oh, well, the mods, blah, blah, blah. No. This is delegation from top down. This is Betty. That's her doing. No one else's. And she just needs thanks for it. That's it. That's all it requires. So thank you. Not that you're ever going to get it, Betty, but you'll get it from me every time I see you.
Thanks. Well, and also thanks to Righteous, because he helped me out a great deal, especially in the beginning, because I had to do this. I have a daytime job, I can't be here 24/7. I also sleep at night. Could you imagine? I am here in the evenings a couple of times. Also, Righteous is here on his own free time, and he plays video games. Well, boo-hoo that he plays video games, but he's still there. And when something happens, he just tries to act on it. And I made a couple of people mods, and I hope that people that we can get together with the mods again and speak about this and keep it to ourselves for now, for the next time, and see how we can manage these things. And I need new mods that can be not non-biased towards either side and just be moderators. So if anybody's up for that, please.
Indeed. It's a tricky situation with me and Anthony. Anthony's a very good friend of mine now. I've known him for a long time and we're good mates. So this is an awkward position for me. It's a literal conflict of interest between my personal life, my friendship with Anthony, and my work life doing this. But that's life. It's tough. I'm not going to come to Betty and moan about it. Oh, yeah, let's make her life a bit more difficult. I'm sure you'd love that, right? No, I'd rather just say thank you and move on with my day. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, there is a link to get £50 for switching your UK energy provider to Octopus Energy. Once again, a massive thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.